Hey there, it's Kristen, and this week we're going to be doing our Poppet Play and Spellwork Challenge Playhouse. So we're going to be assembling the Playhouse. Let me first just go over what you're going to need in terms of supplies. And again, this is just my recommendations. You can always do this, set this up whatever way makes the most sense to you and is based on whatever you have at hand. I tried to think of this in the most kind of easy way possible. So the first thing that you'll need is some sort of notebook. This is just a 3-hole punch notebook that you can get from anywhere. This is a 1-inch spine. You could probably even go with a 1/2 inch for this. I have filled mine up a lot more than I thought I would, so I definitely need an inch at least. You're going to need your printables. These are the printable is 3 pages, but 2 of the pages are the house, essentially, the playhouse and the items in the playhouse. You're going to need some cardstock. I like to use stuff like this. This is one example from this paper pad that has all these different wonderful, yummy colors, and a heat laminator. I'm going to show you how I do mine. Heat laminated because if you've been following me so far, you know that I like for these to stick onto something. So cardstock that will be heat laminated. And then you can also just have some things for coloring. I like to use these alcohol markers. And then also you can use some printed papers. So the same way that we discuss with setting up your poppet and the clothing, you can have those same supplies, the whatever you want to use for coloring things in. And then also I do use printed papers on the playhouse materials as well. And then you also need some sort of tape runner. So just something that you can use that will add a little bit of stick. Let me see if I can find one here. Okay, just something like this. And that is how I stick the pieces together. And there are, I'm sure, some alternatives to that though. So now, in terms of what it's going to look like, I'll kind of show you that first. So again, this is my just a basic notebook. I have done mine like a little house. My thought is this is like an apartment building, and then when you open it up, you see the different people in the apartments in their spaces. So you don't have to go to that way of thinking, but I think just having a basic notebook, this 3-hole punch, which keeps it really simple. And then what I'm doing for the backgrounds, which is kind of like their room, their space. You can imagine it like wallpaper, for example. I'm just taking some cardstock like this, and then I heat laminate it. And then I just 3-hole punch it. You can see I also like to do a corner rounding as well. So I do like to round the corners again and then hole punch it. And so this becomes your base or your background, and then you can add things to it. So you also have in the printable, there is this list of symbols. So this is part of it. You get like 3 sheets of the printables that you can color in. And you also get a sheet that gives you an overview of all of the playhouse items, like the books, the broom, the cat, the dog. And it gives you a sense of the symbolism and also things that you could use for spell work. You, of course, don't have to depend on this. Use your own intuition and whatever you typically associate with these things. And we're not really to the spell work part yet. We are just putting things together. And I think this is a great week to just play with everything, see everything, experiment with putting things onto pages in any way that you like. I'm going to show you some of my pages. I also want to say you can also add, I think there's a total of 14 symbols here, things that you could put on the page. But you can certainly add your own things. If you draw, you can draw something in. I use Canva, just a regular Canva elements for these pieces. If you put in, for example, window outline, just use the word outline for all of these, broom outline, mirror outline, you will usually find a lot of black and white, just line art that you can use. And I like to start here to do a little bit of coloring, because it's just enough coloring. It's not too much, it's not too detailed, and that gives you a little bit of creative play with this process. So I'm just going to show you a couple of these pages just so that you can get an idea. And then you will also start to see, these are things that come with the printable, but you'll also start to see some different additions to it. So with this one, I'm using some of the printable pieces that are from some of my other poppets as well. This one, yes, I made a guy for them too. I don't think this is something that's going to be available, but I did make one. And then the bed is actually from Bernadette's Playground. I'm going to be re-releasing the printable, and I will probably add some additional things. I really like the bathtub as a symbol. I think it represents emotional and spiritual cleansing, which is very different from the broom. And so you can see just some different things, again, things that you can add to the space, and they all, to me, look like very different spaces. If you are taking the Poppet and maybe making different versions of it, the question to me for self-discovery is, what alter egos are you creating with these? How do these different Poppets reflect you or some aspect of you? And I want to show you a couple of things that you can think about in terms of putting things together. This one, this window is the window that you got in the printable, but what I did with this one is collage. So I found just an image from a magazine and cut that out. Magazine images are pretty thin, so it works really well if you're heat laminating. You don't want something that's too thick. So I just put that right in there, glued it in with just some glue stick, and then I laminated the whole thing. So this is just another option for, making things like your windows. You can also see that I've used some pattern paper for the chair, for the rug. Let's see, here's another one with the rug. This chair is just the alcohol markers. And then I wanted to show the mirror. For the mirror, what I've been using is this glitter marker. It's just a silver glitter marker. It's the kind you have to shake, and then you press down these paint markers. And I really like how it gives this nice look to the mirror. So those are just some ideas that I've been playing with. I'd love to see what you come up with in terms of your pages. I'm just going to show you really quickly how you might put a page together. So first, I'm just going to start with my background. This is, again, a piece of cardstock that I have laminated, corner rounded, and then 3-hole punched. So you're just going to start with that as your base. And then let's say you want to put in a window here. And maybe you also want to put in the rug with a table on top of it. And maybe you decide you also want to put the chair in here. So I think what I'm going to do is just move this over, put the table here, and maybe put the chair here by the window. And maybe there is a little coffee mug that's sitting right here. Okay, so this is just one, potential layout. Remember, you've got a cat, you've got a dog, a teddy bear, a plant, a broom, a candle. So there are a lot of other things you could put into the page. What we're going to be doing after this is we're going to be doing spells. So I want you to start just this week, just play with the scenes. You don't have to think about them as spells at all. We're going to talk about that the next time. But just play with these pieces, make different scenes. Think of these as different environments. What environments do you feel like you need to be in right now? What are you seeing outside of the window? Do you want the cozy chair? Do you need the table? Do you want the rug to be there? Like each element has a different symbolic meaning, and it has just a different meaning in terms of your usage of it too. So you don't have to rely just on what I've, put as symbols. How do you see a rug? Do you use rugs? Do you like using rugs, or do you like to just work with the bare floor? Do you like to sit on the floor, for example? Tables. What do you use this table for? And I kind of made this one more like a desk table, like a working table. So if this is your working table, what do you need on it? What would go there? So those are just some things to start thinking about and really just play with this week before we get into the actual spell work. So take some time, have some fun with this, have fun coloring, doing your creative play with coloring all of these things in or making them patterned, whatever it is that you'd like to do. And I always like to make a couple of things so that I can make some different, variations. I like having different chairs and putting them into different scenes and different backgrounds. So this week, just create some scenes and have some fun playing.